Live from Orlando, Florida, you're listening to the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, the voice of Magic fans. Join us every week for a unique fan perspective on all of the latest Magic news and updates. The show starts now.
What's up, Magic fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network and Bet Online. We're your hosts, Al, myself, Anthony. Today is the 3rd of April. Magic just getting done, barely getting past the San Antonio Spurs, but still able to get a big win, putting the Magic 37-40 for the season. Tied currently as it stands right now. We are recording this on Wednesday night. The Atlanta Hawks are playing against the Dallas Mavericks, and it's a close game, but the Magic currently tied with Atlanta for that 7th seed. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about just the level of play from Franz and Paolo. They are a combo that has really picked it up. Started a little slow early on since Paolo Banchero has returned from his injury and post All-Star break, but what better time than now for them to level up, man, and they've been doing a really, really good job at, getting some wins for this Magic team, and some unexpected saviors from the bench as well. We'll talk about that, and Cole Anthony returning. But before we get into it, Al, what's going on? How's everything going on your end?
Man, just can't believe it's already the 2nd of April here. So we're recording this episode, and honestly, less than 2 weeks away from the end of the regular season. I don't know about you, but it feels like we just started this thing. I know it's been a crazy one, all the ups and downs, all the injuries. But man, we are here in the last couple of weeks of the season, which is surreal to me.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the end. Not exactly where we thought we would be at the beginning of the season. Definitely once you reflect, and we will eventually have an episode where we kind of fully reflect on the season, but taking a moment to partially reflect, you can look at this season in a lot of different ways. There's some opportunities where you can kind of view and say, man, we really need to get better in this aspect and that aspect, but you can also point at the injury has been really rough for this team. But the bright spot, man, has been Paolo Banchero easily. Paolo, as we know, superstar in the making. He becomes only the 3rd player in NBA history who is 22 or younger to compile 4,000 points, 1.3 thousand rebounds, 900 assists during his first 3 NBA seasons, joining LeBron and Luka. When we take a look at Paolo Banchero and what he's done, is there anything that he does now that even surprises you at this point?
Dude, it's surreal now. I know he struggled a bit January, early February, but outside of that, October, November, before the injury, he looked like an All-NBA player. Post All-Star break, he has looked once again like that All-NBA talent. And when you think about those names you mentioned, LeBron, Luka, again, the potential is there for him to be a guy that we can build something special around. And we know we've had Shaq, we've had Dwight, guys that took us to the NBA Finals. I truly believe if the front office does a good job building around Paolo, around Franz, this team has some great potential, some great days ahead, man. Don't forget, Paolo and Franz, under 23 years old still, guys that are just figuring things out at the NBA level and playing at this level. So Paolo, man, it's been special to watch him average almost 30 points a night since the All-Star break. It is now surprising to me when he doesn't score 30 or more. That's how good he has been lately. Even last night, he scored, I think, 24. And people were saying, hey, he had a bad night. And I'm like, he scored 24 and we won the game. So it's crazy to think about how highly we are all thinking of this kid. Again, crazy to think what it could have been had we drafted, Chet, Jabari instead, from what we needed, which was an offensive-minded guy. Honestly, he was the best pick, and glad that the front office made the decision to draft him because he's turning out to be exactly what this franchise needed.
Yeah, man, offense has always been a big issue for the Magic consistently. for a while now. Paolo Banchero definitely bringing in that offensive punch. But what's awesome to see is that, he's still learning and the game's still slowing down for him. This is a player that can easily, next season, near future, can easily lead the NBA in scoring and winning scoring titles. And what's even more awesome is the fact that he's not doing it by himself, man. Franz is starting to feel like he's slowly getting into consistently being able to level up his offensive game at the same time with Paolo. There's been moments where it's been the Paolo show or it's been Franz, and they've been consistently doing it together as a unit. 9 consecutive games scoring 20 points or more, which is them setting the longest streak by any duo in Magic history and the second longest in NBA history by a duo aged 23 or younger. Going into this postseason, we're looking for that to continue, for this team to have any shot in the postseason, whether that be just play-in or actual playoffs. It's going to be so important for Franz and Paolo to turn it up. Definitely a rough game the other night where the Magic did struggle to score offensively, only scoring 87 points against the Los Angeles Clippers. But when you take a look at how well, outside of that game, how well this team or this duo have played together, how excited are you for that to continue on into the postseason?
I mean, it's exciting, man. When you have 2 young guys, 6'10" and taller, guys that can do it all. They can play make, they can attack the basket, they can shoot it a little bit as well. But again, looking at trajectory, so it may not be this year. This may not be the year that we make a deep run into the playoffs. But when you look at where they're coming from, like I'm looking at Franz stats right now. He went from averaging 15 points to averaging 18, 19 to now 24. You look at Paolo, similar trajectory. He started averaging 20, 22, and now 25. So again, the growth is there. The game is slowing down. It's going to be special. And that is the one thing that we all kind of know, right? Like the Magic again this year, unless something drastic happens, we're not in this thing to make a deep playoff run. Let's be sincere. We're missing Suggs. We're missing Wagner, 2 guys that we need in order to be able to make a realistic playoff push. However, I am excited to see what Paolo and Franz can do. The lights are bright. Everyone knows the ball is coming to them. How can they adapt in playoff basketball and help this team win some games? Again, it may not be winning the series, but can they win 2 games against a team like the Cavs or the Celtics? And again, the national attention, all NBA fans will now know this duo is for real. We know they are in Central Florida. We know they are here in Florida. We respect them. We need now the rest of the NBA to realize that. And I think that is the one takeaway from this year that I want NBA fans to have is that, hey, these guys in Orlando, watch out for them. And hopefully in the offseason, we can add some fire punch to these guys. But it's exciting, man. I think having these 2 guys here for the future, I mean, we have at least 5 more years with them with their extensions. It's going to be fun to watch because these guys are special.
And let's be honest, man, these teams know it. The players know it. When you hear some of the vets talk about, or even some of the media coverage for the Magic, nobody is blaming failures from Coach Mose or from the front. Like, I think the biggest one that we saw was, I can't remember who it was, but they were saying, man, Coach Mose is not in the hot seat. I want to say it was Zach Lowe, but he was talking about Coach Mose is not in the hot seat. Whether we've been struggling or not struggling, you can easily point at injury being a key catalyst as the reason why the Magic season has been as successful. No matter what happens, Magic are going to end up playing meaningful basketball. And I think that if the Magic going to pick a time to turn things up, they've picked a really good time for them to really get going. Outside of that Clippers game, of course, but you take a look at the schedule for the Orlando Magic, really close with the Atlanta Hawks. Magic definitely trying to hold on to that 7th seed instead of that 8th seed, so that the Magic can hold on to home court advantage. When it comes to this play-in. Magic end up playing against the Hawks at least 2 more times before the season ends. I believe I saw we have about 5 games left, so going to be crucial, important games leading up to the end of the season. So you have those 2 games against Atlanta, within the next 5. Then you go into the play-in, and then you got playoff basketball immediately after. So things are going to get real spicy for the Magic real quick.
Yeah, man. And the good thing is that we have some guys that are picking it up. You said it early on in the episode, but we're getting contribution finally from guys that we've needed all year long. And I'm thinking about guys like KCP, guys that we've known, like they were brought here to help the young core. They were brought in to help the young guys take that next step. And guess what, man? Since the All-Star break, KCP is shooting almost 46% from three-point range. Put on a show yesterday against the San Antonio Spurs. Shot it really well again against the Clippers, even though the rest of the team didn't. So it's good to see that. And another guy is, I call him Caleb Houston, because, man, he's been looking like Klay Thompson lately out there. He's been picking it up big time, again, helping out the team, hitting some clutch shots when we need them. So let me ask you, man, what does it mean to you as a Magic fan of finally seeing a couple of guys hit some open threes? Guys like Caleb, man, who sat on the bench for so long, was not getting minutes, and all of a sudden he's becoming a contributor in this team heading into the playoffs. 2 questions. Thoughts on KCP, his recent play since the All-Star break, and Caleb Houston. My question to you about him is, should he have been playing more all along, knowing that that's his strength, 3-point shooting, and we've struggled so bad with 3-point shooting all season long?
I mean, this is the reason why you brought KCP, man. KCP was supposed to be, that massive upgrade from Gary Harris. Gary Harris still having a horrendous season, man. It's you saw so many good things that he was able to bring to you in the postseason last year that you really thought was going to carry over. I know Gary Harris, bringing him back, wasn't a favorite signing of yours, but in my mind, it made all the sense in the world. Gary Harris, you weren't able to rely on him to stay healthy. So you bring in a player like KCP, who is an Iron Man and who consistently throughout the season, is going to be available, and just struggled all year long, man. And you really didn't understand why. He's been getting good looks, just haven't been knocking down shots. So to see him now performing at the level that we know and expected, and it's the reason why we brought him here, is huge, because that allows for everyone else to have better looks. It allows for the space of the floor to be way more spread out, so that Franz is able to operate, for Paolo and Banchero to be able to operate, and it makes their job easy. And even on the bailouts, we have 2 guys that love to drive the basketball to the basket. In moments where maybe there isn't something there, you can be safe to say that you have a weapon out in the wing in KCP that's able to knock down that shot. The most important thing is, it's great that we're seeing that now. It has to be able to translate into the postseason, and I think that's going to be huge. But that can't just be on KCP. One of your issues with KCP that you've been extremely vocal about has been that he's not a high volume shooter. Yeah, his percentages have been great throughout his career, but it's not like he's shooting 7, 8, 9 3-pointers a game. And for a Magic team that struggled to be able to shoot from the 3-point line, it can't just be from KCP, who was low volume. We need other people to be able to step up. And Caleb Houston is showing that he can do it. I mean, this is somebody that is the epitome of stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I mean, this is somebody that comes off the bench. You really don't know what to expect, or maybe he doesn't even know what to expect, because there are inconsistencies with his minutes, but he's getting the opportunity to play, and he's taking advantage of it. I mean, he's a big wing that can shoot the basketball, and whether or not, and I've said this before, whether or not the ball goes in or not, he easily has the prettiest shot on the team. Just early on in the season, that shot has not been consistent. So it's good to see that ball going in the basket for guys like KCP, guys like Caleb Houston. That ball going into the hoop, as pure shooters as they are, goes a long way for their confidence. So I'm happy to be able to see it. We need that additional support. because history has shown that us being able to have a strong second unit is a big impact for what this team is able to do and needs to do in order to accomplish some success.
Yeah, man. In the last few weeks, we've seen the Magic hit double digits in three-pointers multiple times. It seems like they're alternating. One night they hit 5, the next night they hit 16, and that's been kind of the trend lately. But it's so fun to watch this team when they actually hit, 12, 13, 14, 15 three-pointers in a game. It's a totally different team. I hope that Caleb can find a way to stay out there and continue to get minutes, because look at last night. He closed out the game in San Antonio. He hit some massive three-point shots. KCP was doing the same. When they're both out there on the court, along with Paolo, Franz, and whoever the center is, dude, it makes a big difference, because now you cannot really double team Paolo and just like force him to play 2-on-1. You have to guard KCP. You have to guard Caleb Houston. You got to guard Franz. It's a total different team. So I really, really hope that we see this continue heading into the final weeks of the season here. Just to give you a quick perspective on Caleb. So he recently shot 6 for 8 for 3-pointers, 2 for 4, 2 for 6, 4 for 6, 6 for 7, and 4 for 8. Those are some massive numbers. He's shooting 58% from 3-point range in the last 10 games. That's, again, impressive stuff. Yeah. I just wish, can you imagine if instead of Gary Harris getting minutes, Jet Howard would have panned out and he would have been hitting 3-pointers a game. Like, I think that's the vision the front office has eventually for this team, that these guys will pan out and they'll start making their 3-pointers. Because if you surround Paolo, Franz with guys like Caleb, Jet, KCP, guys that can consistently make shots, Jalen Suggs, again, the blueprint is there. And I think that's what we saw early on in the season with this team until the injury started to happen. KCP, to your point, I hate it when he has games where he goes 4 points, 1 for 4 from the field. Like, man, you're making $22 million. Take at least 5 3-pointers a game. That should be the bare minimum. And I blame that on coach, man. Coach should just tell him, you got to take at least 1 3-pointer per quarter. If not more, when you're open, just jack it up. You are by far our best 3-point shooter. Do not hesitate. Just take those open shots. We need you to go out there and be aggressive. Similar to AB. AB, when he's on the court, drive to the hoop, take the open shots. That aggressiveness got to be there for those guys that are not named Paolo and Franz, because when they're the ones taking 24, 25 shots a game, it's amazing. They'll have good nights, but the rest of the team has 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. That's not going to get it done. But it's been fun to watch, man. I hope it continues, and I'm really, really rooting for Caleb Houston. I'll include myself in this. I'm one of the first ones I would say early in the season, waive him and pick up a shooter. Pick up someone that you can count and depend on. Guess what? He's proving me wrong. I'm sure he's proving a lot of Magic fans wrong right now, and I hope that continues.
Yeah, and then you also get a player like Cole Anthony, who's returning from injury. Somebody that's missed some time during the back end stretch of some of these games. Kojo really stepping up and showed why the benefits of us signing him and how important having a third string point guard is, because we've definitely needed him, and he's done a great job at kind of holding down the fort and holding down the point guard responsibility. So my question to you: end of the season, 5 games left. Cole Anthony returns from injury. You see that the minutes are pretty split between Cole Anthony and Corey Joseph, but should Corey Joseph continue to start with the return of Cole Anthony?
I think he should. If anything, man, he organizes the offense. He makes 0 mistakes. He is making open threes when he takes them. He's playing hard on defense. Like, I'm not seeing anything wrong that he's doing out there that doesn't guarantee him, continuing to start. In a perfect world, my perfect situation would be where AB would be the one that has shown enough that he will be the starter by this point. Right. Just because you are playing in a season where, we said it earlier, we're not making the NBA Finals. And please, I hope we do make it some way, somehow. But I think it's a perfect time of the year to develop guys like AB. Cole Anthony, to me, he's still going to be a 6-man for the rest of his career. He's not a starter in this league, in my opinion. AB's that guy. You're developing him. You're hoping that he can take that next step next year and years to come. But until that happens, I think Corey Joseph should be the guy that gets the nod for now. But what about you? It's a tricky situation. What about you? What do you think? Should he be the one to get those starter minutes here down the stretch?
I mean, at the end of the day, at this point, if you're Cole Anthony, if you're Corey Joseph, I wouldn't even like starting isn't where anyone's priority should be. What's priority is this team winning, and whether you're starting or you're ending the game, like being out there when the minutes matter has to be most important. And I think that when the minutes matter, you're going to see Cole Anthony because that's who you're paying the money to, right? And Cole Anthony, he brings an offensive punch that Corey Joseph just is unable to. But Corey Joseph does do a better job at balancing this team out and gives you that true point guard feel. And I'm in the same boat, man. I wish Anthony Black was given those responsibilities and you just kind of sink or swim with them. But that's just not where the Magic are right now. And I don't blame Coach Most for not doing that, especially so close to the end of the season where every game is mattering. But I'm good with Corey Joseph, starting, but my opinion, Cole Anthony needs to be out there to end the game out and give this team meaningful minutes to give that offensive punch because Franz Wagner is going to get a lot of the attention. Paolo Banchero is going to get a lot of the attention. This gives Cole Anthony the floor, the spacing to be able to do what he does offensively. Cole Anthony can be very, very dangerous on the offensive end. Issue is we really haven't seen that consistently at all. Consistency has been the Achilles heel for Cole Anthony. So start with Corey Joseph, but man, if I'm trying to win games and make noise in the playoffs, I'm ending the game with Cole Anthony.
Yeah, and to your point, I don't think really who starts is going to matter. I think ultimately whoever's going to get the most minutes is who has the hot hand going that night, whether that is AB, Cole, or Kojo. But I will say, even last night against the Spurs, we saw something kind of unique in the fourth quarter where we went Paolo, Franz, Wendell, Caleb Houston, and KCP. So we went big. And I've been saying that to you for a while now. Like, why don't we just go big? We did it all of last year when Jalen got hurt. I think it's worth giving that a try, where you kind of alternate Paolo and Franz bringing the ball up. You add a shooter to the court, add some height to the starting lineup. Not starting lineup, but whoever is closing out the game. I think that's something that Mosley should explore more of in the playoffs. Again, go big, play Jai at the 5 sometimes. Again, throw in there Caleb instead of a point guard. It's worth it. Again, we're such a big team as it is. I think that could be also an advantage of ours heading into the playoffs. So something to keep an eye on. I liked that he used it yesterday against San Antonio. We went on a run with that lineup. Something to keep an eye on as we go into the play-in here and hopefully into the playoffs.
Yeah, and when you're taking a look at the last 2 to 3 games, you got Franz Wagner that's leading the Orlando Magic in assists. So that ball handling responsibility doesn't have to rely on just Corey Joseph. It doesn't have to rely on just Cole Anthony. We have our big wings who are able to help and contribute from that standpoint. So Coach Most talked about it early on or the second half of the season. Point guard by committee. And we're seeing that. Now the big talk of the town, March Madness. Jalen Suggs went viral where he wasn't with the Orlando Magic, but we saw him supporting his girlfriend at a TCU basketball game for March Madness. I have a quick question for you, and does that bother you at all when you see a player like Jalen Suggs, who's such a big part of this NBA team, Magic, really fighting and scratching every game counts for this team? Does it bother you seeing Jalen Suggs not with the team and playing and being in the stands as a fan and supporter for his girlfriend at a TCU game?
So let me start by saying that if he's out there, he has the approval of the team, right? He's been approved by the front office. I guess even the players might say, that's fine, man. Go do what you need to do. So no, not an issue there. Also, just for this March Madness games, that's fine too. Where my kind of head goes is, where has he been since he got hurt? Usually, like even Mo Wagner, when he got hurt, a torn ACL, had surgery, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we saw him out there maybe, I want to say maybe 3 to 4 weeks after the injury. He was already on the bench with the team. He was already kind of sitting in the second row initially. Now he's dressed as a coach. He's out there. He's the first one that gets up when a player makes a big play or a big defensive stop happens. I would love to see Jalen Suggs do the same, man. I think that the energy that he brings, not just on the court, as a teammate, just sitting on the sidelines, coaching guys, helping them out, makes a huge difference. So I don't want these comments to come from just this weekend, the fact that he went to these games and was out there supporting his friend, girlfriend, whoever it might be. I mean, in general, like, I think he would be a great guy to have around. I think he has been in practices. He's been around the team when they're not playing. What I'm referring to is on like actual game nights. Like we see guys when they're hurt in street clothes on the bench. I think he will make a big difference. And I would love to see him, join the team at some point here in this final stretch. Because, man, I don't know about you, but it's a team at the end of the day. And I think that right now is a perfect occasion for him to be experiencing this playoff push that we're going through, helping guys out. He will make a difference, even if it's just sitting on the bench and helping these guys out. That's my take on it. We got some heat from some guys on our group chat when we talked about this topic over the weekend. But what about you? What are your thoughts on Jalen Suggs and the fact that we haven't seen him much since the injury?
Yeah, I mean, selfish me is thinking like, yeah, man, I don't want him at these TCU games. I want him on the bench supporting our guys end of the season. The reality is there is some level of work-life balance. Obviously, the Magic do care about, and this is an exception that was made, right? And the only reason why anyone's even talking about it is because he went viral for, chest bumping, his girlfriend's dad, and obviously the girlfriend is a big name in March Madness, and it's a reason why it gained any traction. Outside of that, I don't think anyone would have even known or cared. How much of a difference would Jalen Suggs really make on the bench to win games? Like there's not much of a difference that really would be made, but you do expect for there to be that support from any player who's getting paid millions of dollars and can't be on the court to play because of an injury. I'm more relaxed about it now, especially now that she's been eliminated. But I think that there would be more concerns if you believe that Jalen Suggs just didn't care, and we all know for a fact that is not the case when it comes to Jalen Suggs. He is easily a player that stole away the heart and hustle chip and award from Cole Anthony, and he wears that as a badge of honor, and I'm not too concerned about it. If you want to go support and do whatever it is, man, I get it. I understand it. You only live life once. These guys are young. He could be out there doing way worse things, and if the worst thing that he's doing while he's injured is missing a game here or there that he can't even play or participate in to be able to watch basketball and support somebody that he cares about, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I just, again, to your point, she was eliminated, unfortunately, over the weekend here. So I do hope to see him, at the playing games. If we make the playoffs, that he is there with the team. Again, man, the energy that he brings, man, I think it's contagious, right? So if he's on the sidelines, cheering on for you guys, and AB looks over, gets a piece of advice from him, I think it makes a big difference. So we'll see how it goes. Again, it is what it is at this point, but I definitely hope that we see him here down the stretch at least a couple times in this final game of the year.
Yeah. So last 5 games of the season, no time to take off the foot off the gas pedal. You get a chance to play against the Washington Wizards, who have given you issues in the past, but you still have to deal with the Chris Middletons and the Jordan Pooles. And if you don't take that game serious, especially playing away in Washington, that game could be taken away from you. So we got to make sure that we come out and we're dominant against the Washington Wizards. And then Tuesday, you go against the Atlanta Hawks, who we know is neck and neck for that 7th, 8th seed. So that game is going to be huge. Wednesday, you play against Boston. It's going to be our final regular season game. Boston, Who knows what that team is going to look like? They're already set in stone where they're going to be at. So maybe we can steal one against Boston, Friday against Indiana. And then I think the best of it, the best way to end the season is Sunday against the Atlanta Hawks, final regular season game. And that might be a deal breaker in terms of where we are and where we're landing, just depending on how these final games go for the Magic and the Atlanta Hawks. So a lot of things to be excited about, a lot of meaningful basketball in our very, very near future. And if there's an opportunity, if there's a time to take it up another gear, now is the time to do that. Al, final thoughts?
Man, as we are recording this, I'm keeping an eye on the Hawks game here. 118 with seconds left in the game. Clay just hit a 3 to tie it. So hopefully the Mavs can pull the game off and help us out a little bit after they beat us last week. But to your point, man, a crucial week ahead for us. 2 big games against the Hawks, 1 at home, 1 on the road to finish the season. I truly feel like we control our destiny, man. We got to beat the Wizards. Hopefully we can beat the Hawks twice. And then ideally you can beat one of Boston or Indiana. I'll be happy with a 4-1 record to end the season. That would mean that we win 41 games in the year. We finish with a 500 record. And when you look at the fact that Jalen Suggs is out, Mo Wagner is out, our 3rd and 4th best scorers, you can still finish a year at 500 with all that and all the injuries. In my eyes, that's a win. So hopefully we can end up with a 500 record, the 7th seed, and we can win that play-in game, and we can face the Boston Celtics. Again, won't be easy, but all things considered, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and as we're recording, just like Al said, there's 25 seconds left. Fourth quarter, 118, Dallas Mavericks, Hawks tied. Huge implications for us, and a good way for us to be able to space some games away from the Atlanta Hawks if they fail to beat the Dallas Mavericks. We'll see what happens there. On that note, appreciate everyone for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Show presented by Bet Online. We'll see you.
For all the latest Magic news and updates, visit OrlandoMagicHQ.com and follow us on Instagram at Orlando Magic HQ and on Twitter at OMagicHQ. Also, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform.